Greetings, beautiful people. I hope you're well and having a fantastic day so far. A warm welcome to you all to Nanaaba's Kitchen. Thanks for joining us. On the menu today is the tastiest and crispiest, crunchiest fried chicken there is out there, better than any restaurant. And you'd love this recipe because it's simply easy to replicate. You have the ingredients currently in your home, I guarantee you. Let's jump right in. So you need a cup of whole milk to begin with, and you're going to squeeze into this milk the juice of half a lemon to create buttermilk. Then stir to combine both ingredients, and voila, you have buttermilk. Do not overstir because it will curdle, and that isn't what we want. We just want the mixture to thicken. Now, the chicken pieces I will be using in this recipe have been previously brined. I did brine some chicken in a zesty brine solution previously for a recipe I had done ahead of this one. And so I happen to have excess of those brined chicken pieces, and that's what I will be using. I used a gallon of water, which I brought to a boil, and added a 1/4 cup of salt to it, and also the rind of 1 lemon, as well as 6 sprigs of fresh thyme. Then I let the water cool down, immersed all my chicken pieces into it, and let it sit in the fridge for an hour and a half because it's Cornish chicken. They are miniature in size. They don't take long to brine. The brining does help because it makes the chicken juicier, but you can skip this step because the buttermilk is going to give you the exact same results, okay? Now I'm scoring my chicken pieces because I'm not going to be pressure frying these chicken pieces. So I do need to make sure that the chicken is fried and cooked completely to the bone. That's important when you're working with any poultry. Now, our buttermilk has been sitting for about 10 minutes and has had some time to build up those enzymes needed to break down the meat of the chicken to make it juicier and, more importantly, tender. Now, I have added 3 whole eggs to the buttermilk and whisking it in to combine it completely. Now, I'm also adding dry thyme, smoked paprika, curry powder, baking powder, salt, and I'm going to whisk these also to combine evenly. And the baking powder, which is a leavener, is going to help us to attain that light crunchiness and not a dense crunchiness, all right? So if you desire a light crunchiness that just literally melts in your mouth, then you want to use the baking powder. I have also ground in some peppercorns because we want that signature spice peppery essence. Now everything is whisked in the marinade and it's nicely combined. So we pour it onto the chicken pieces and make sure all the chicken pieces are well coated, and then cover it with a cling film and let it sit at room temperature to marinate for just 15 minutes. That is all. And in the meantime, we're going to now prepare our breading for our crunch factor. And for that, we're going to need some all-purpose flour, and we will also repeat most of the seasonings and spices we used in the marinade. Here are some fennel seeds, then all-purpose seasoning, smoked paprika, followed by some curry powder, cayenne pepper for a kick, some salt to season with. And the fennel seeds were left whole because when it's finally fried, they pop and bloom, and it's just very gorgeous. Now, what I just added is some cornstarch. That really helps with that texture of the crunch. You'd love it. Make sure you use it. Now, I'm also grinding in some black and red peppercorns, but you can just grind black or white pepper into this. All right. Now, I just added some more baking powder. It's all about the crunch, that light crunch. Remember that. Then we add some granulated garlic, ginger powder, followed by granulated onion. Then whisk all in to combine thoroughly. And your dry station is ready for breading. Done. So now we set up our station. Our chicken is back from marinating at room temperature. So take the chicken pieces out one by one and just drop it into your dry mixture and make sure it is coated very well with your flour mixture. Shake the excess off, drop it back into the marinade because we're going to double bread these. We want a thick, light crunch on each piece of chicken. Oh, it's going to be so good, friends. I am thoroughly excited about this, and I cannot wait for you to try it and let me know about your feedback. So here is the second coating with your dry flour mixture. Shake the excess off and voila, that's done. So now you're going to set it on your cooling rack and then duplicate the same process for the rest of the chicken pieces. Done. Now our chicken will be fried using much skill and technique because we do not have a pressure fryer as they do in the big restaurants. And the reason they use pressure fryers in the big restaurants is to ensure that the chicken is cooked through completely to the bone, okay? So what we'll do first is heat up our oil using medium heats, which you can verify by dropping in a sliced onion or a herb such as rosemary. And if you see the bubbles, then yes, your oil is hot enough. Now gently and carefully immerse a chicken piece in at a time and fry until it starts becoming crunchy on the outer layer. So I started frying at heat level 5 out of 9. My stove goes all the way up to 9. All right, so I started at 5, and once I got that crunch forming and that light golden color, I turned it down to 3, and I fried it the rest of the way using just 3. So the key is to know that you may need to adjust your heat as you go so your chicken cooks through completely. Now I'm checking the core temperature of the cooked chicken to make sure it's cooked completely through to the bone, and we exceeded 165 degrees Fahrenheit. So we know this chicken, once you break it open, there should be no bloodiness. It should be cooked through and thoroughly. And that is super crucial when you're cooking chicken for food safety. Something like duck is also a bird, but you can cook it to a medium rare cook. Not the same with chicken, all right? This chicken looks gorgeous. It is crunchy, and here is the evidence. And that crunch was quite satisfying. Now we served this with some fried rice, the quickest fried rice you'll ever make. And you see that bottom part of the rice. It was intentional. Oh. In Ghana, we call that bottom part, which is so delicious, my husband's favorite. We call it kanzo. In his language, which is Swahili, they call it ukoko. What do you call it in your native language? I'm curious. I'd like to know. Leave me a comment in the comment section below. And here's what completes it, makes it real fried rice. Yes, the vegetables were sauteed on the side, seasoned well, thrown onto the rice, stir it in, and voila, you have the quickest and tastiest fried rice. Not the most traditional way to cook fried rice, but hey, it works. And of course, you cannot forget about the coleslaw. Now, this entire plate, the fried rice, the coleslaw, the chicken, its aroma, that crunch, it all reminds me of the good old days. Back in the day when I went to high school in Ghana, Achimota School to be specific, my best friend and I, Ernestina Akosia Ansa, and I will go and get a serving of a papaya fried rice and the fried chicken with the coleslaw and the shito on the side. Just before Sergey classes for extra lessons in math. Wow, those were some days, let me tell you. If you know what I'm talking about in terms of papaya restaurant, hit me up in the comment section. I'd like to hear from you. Let's revisit those days. Those were some special fond memories. Thank you so much for joining me today in Nanaaba's Kitchen. It is chop time, and here in Nanaaba's Kitchen, chop time is yes, friends. So pull up a chair because we are all friends here. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Leave me a thumbs up to let me know. And I hope that you make it a great day, or do make it a great day actually, and have fun, especially in that kitchen.